Hey everyone, it's Lassie, and welcome back to Virtual Paddock. Today, I'm going to address a quite common question that sim racers tend to get, though oftentimes not really phrased as a question. And that is, why the hell do a lot of sim racers wear gloves, and some even racing boots? Let's start with gloves. First of all, not every sim racer wears gloves. In fact, when I was using my G29, I never used them. I only bought a pair after I got my CSW earlier this year, and you can generally see that gloves are far more commonly used with higher end wheels compared to something more entry level. But why is that? Basically, it's for protection. Not to protect us from anything, but to protect the wheel. The thing is, most higher end steering wheels have grips wrapped in Alcantara, which looks and feels great, but unfortunately, it doesn't react well to an oily, sweaty death grip. And that's not unusual in a long and intense race. But then, why actual racing gloves? We could of course use any kind of gloves, but I'm using karting gloves. And there are even specific sim racing gloves available. And the benefit is simply that they're designed to be used with wheels. A typical winter glove, for example, is quite thick, and that will actually dampen some of the force feedback details. Plus, with all the dials and buttons on the wheels, those are a lot easier to use with thinner gloves as well. And lastly, for me personally, I've actually noticed that the gloves helped me relax my hands. With the G29, when I was driving for longer, I often found myself gripping the wheel quite tightly. But for whatever reason, once I started using gloves with the CSW, that issue was gone, and I can actually feel the force feedback a lot better. Now for the second part. Why do some of us even use racing boots? Partly it's once again down to gear, and racing boots are more common to be used with higher end pedals rather than entry level. It's mostly important on the brake, which on higher end pedals will always measure pressure rather than travel. So it's quite common to have a pedal that requires a lot of pressure for full braking force, but at the same time have very little travel. And if you try to use a brake like that with socks or even barefooted, your feet are probably gonna cramp. But on the other hand, a shoe with a very thick sole will actually make it harder to modulate the pedal properly. And basically, racing boots tackle both of those issues. They've got a thin sole for good pedal feel, but at the same time support your feet enough to keep them in a stable position and prevent them from cramping. Now, I will admit that the skate shoes I tried a few months ago actually had the same benefits, but given that skateboarding isn't exactly shoe friendly, I didn't want to accelerate the damage even more with things like heel and toe. And that's why I recently bought a pair of karting boots. So those were the practical reasons for racing gloves and boots. But of course, immersion is also part of it as well. And just like many others, I also really enjoy the act of putting them on before racing. Especially before something like a stint in an endurance race. It does kind of get you into the zone. Alright, so those are the reasons why you find some sim racers using racing gloves and even racing boots. Now, if we did with a full racing overall and a helmet, that would of course be overkill. Anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and want to see more content like this, be sure to click like and subscribe. So, till next time, use the downforce, and see you soon.